The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit. You may know it as the stealth bomber. While it's practically invisible to enemy air defense, the B-2's flying wing design makes it one of the most recognizable aircraft in the Air Force Global Strike Command's nuclear deterrence arsenal. The B-2 is a multi-role bomber, capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear munitions. It's deadly in a way no one wants to find out firsthand. It's also shrouded in secrecy. Today, I'm going to be one of the few people to ever fly in the B-2, to tell the story of how America's nuclear stealth bomber is ready to go on a moment's notice. Air Force Global Strike Command has one of the most sobering missions in the U.S. to develop and provide combat-ready forces for nuclear deterrence and to be able to strike anywhere, anytime. The Air Force personnel who keep the B-2 bomber flying and who prepare it to be ready to take off at just a few minutes' notice are some of the best trained, most committed, and most closely watched individuals in the U.S. military. And for the next 36 hours, I will be among them. I'm Naveed Jamali, a journalist, a veteran, and a former spy. On Unconventional, it is my honor to witness the passing of the torch, to tell the stories of the young women and men who serve in a changing world, and a military balancing tradition and change, and to do it in 36 hours.
We're in this tiny little town. It's just so crazy to me because there's nothing here except a few miles away is the B-2s and nuclear weapons. So this sleepy little town and the strategic base, like it's just crazy. The Navy SEALs have a saying, and the saying is, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. And I think that that's a pretty good mantra when you're doing things like what we're doing today, is not to think of the totality of it, but just to think of it as small steps that have to progress. And that's how you kind of make it a manageable thing.
All right, so here we are at Whiteman Air Force Base, the beginning of the adventure to fly in a B-2. I don't know what to expect. I'm super excited. The start of this is us turning over all electronic devices, and every piece of footage that we shoot is going to be reviewed by the Air Force. So hopefully we'll get some good stuff back.
I'll just need all your phones, yep. Apple Watch.
The game plan is this. I've been invited to join a training mission for several B-2 bombers. I'll be flying right seat in one of them. It's a unique opportunity, to say the least. Getting me on this jet required approvals all the way up to the top brass at the Pentagon, and background checks for the entire film crew. After all, this is a $2 billion stealth aircraft with some of the most advanced and classified technologies ever devised.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hack 90 at local. Welcome, Death 2-1 flight for the formation brief for today.
Trains in Switzerland have nothing on a B-2 bomber squadron. The pilots time everything, right down to the second. That includes the start of a meeting. As we're being briefed on the mission, the B-2s we're scheduled to fly are already in the air with another crew. For the B-2, everything comes down to timing. Once our jet lands, with its engine still running, the film crew will have 6 minutes to rig the jet with cameras, while my pilot and I strap in to fly our 5-hour mission. Today, we'll be flying with another B-2 bomber and a T-38 Talon chase plane to film our mission. I'm flying in this iconic aircraft to tell the story of how, 30 years later, it remains both the most secretive and lethal bomber in the Air Force.
Jet's good for safe maintenance as far as forms go. We just need to look it over. We had a saying in my leadership school, we check our beef at the door because we're all vegetarians and we check our beef at the door. So when I'm at work, like I do the same thing at the turnstile, and work is work. It doesn't matter what's going on anywhere else in the world. If someone's saying, hey, this has to fly, it has to fly. So I really see it as no matter what, like I have to do what I can to put it in the air.
You just have to understand this is one of the nation's #1 mission sets. And you have to take that into account, and you train for it. It's not something we take lightly. We talk about it. It is a heavy load.
When you have a stealth aircraft, there's a whole nother group of people, and those are our low observable maintainers. These are folks that are trained to incredibly high levels to understand how radar cross-sections work, the type of material and the applique and the coatings that make that stealthy jet stealthy. Obviously, getting into the details of that would get pretty classified pretty quick.
When you look at the B-2 Spirit up close, its flying wing design is striking and intimidating, which is ironic when you consider the point of the jet is not to be seen, at least by air defenses. What else you don't see? The crews that put it into the air. There are currently 20 B-2 bombers in operation. All of them are based here in Missouri, and each one in its own dedicated hangar, and each hangar a protected, secure environment.
And there's some days where like if this goes up in the air, who knows what it's doing? Like I only know that it's flying for 12, 14 hours. There's a lot of places you can go in 12, 14 hours, especially with this aircraft. And its unique capabilities, what it can do, it could be anywhere and you'd never know it. You could be in a commercial aircraft and it could be right above you and you'd never know it.
We were never told how many B-2s were at the base during our shoot. And anytime a B-2 is not flying, it's in a closed hangar, out of the view of the prying eyes of satellites above.
We call those our IR birds, our initial response birds. They're always pre-flighted, ready to go.
Many B-2 bombers, the exact number is classified, are kept poised and ready to fly in minutes. And it's this highly trained crew that keeps the stealth bomber in the sky and operational, and who can put them in the air at just a moment's notice. Stephanie Ellis has been a B-2 test engineer since before the first aircraft arrived at Whiteman Air Force Base. As the B-2 systems have evolved, she's been the lead systems test engineer and test director. Very few know the avionics and other internal systems of the B-2 better than she does.
The B-2 as a platform has advanced significantly over the decades.
Oh, yes.
Does that progression tie into making sure that the platform is both relevant and remains lethal?
Yes, we started doing mods out here 1997. We've gone from landlines and these big bag satellite phones to now cell phones that can do just about anything. And for the B-2 to be viable and to be able to do its mission safely and return home, we have to keep up with those technologies.
Well, one of the great things about the B-2 is we have a dual capability. We have both a conventional mission set with normal conventional weapons, and then of course we have our nuclear mission set with nuclear weapons as well, should that be required.
Can you tell us what your job in the Air Force is?
So I'm an aircraft armament technician, and it's pretty much a loader. So just load the bombs into the jet for the flight line side, and then the back shop side will maintain the launchers and weapon systems.
In the B-2, there are two types of launchers. Can you explain the two types of launchers?
So we have an RLA, which stands for the Rotary Launcher Assembly. That launcher is pretty much just a big stick that gets loaded into the aircraft. It can hold 8 bombs, nuclear and conventional weapons. And then there's an SPRA, which is a smart bomb rack assembly. The jet can hold 4 of those, 2 in each bay, and those can hold 20 bombs each of our 500-pound conventional bombs.
Whiteman is a unique base. It's the only place that has operational B-2s. Why Whiteman? What about Whiteman is specific to the B-2 community?
Well, it wasn't by accident that the B-2 was selected to come here. Part of that was Congressman Ike Skelton during the 1980s and the influence that he had. Part of it was frankly operational and a true understanding that from Knob Noster, Missouri, we can get to either coast in a reasonable amount of time. And frankly, it also provides us a little bit of protection from threats that may come in from the coastline.
When it comes to the B-2 as an aircraft, what does it do that no one else can do?
The B-2 brings 4 qualities, or aspects, if you will, that no other aircraft in the world has. In the world. And those 4 traits are range, payload, precision, and stealth.
That is the formation brief for the B-2 portion. Good day to fly, for sure.
All right, so here's the mission for today. It's going to be 3 aircraft, including a tanker. So we're going to be in Death 2-1, will be the lead. There'll be Death 2-2, and there's Fast 2-4, which is a T-38 chase plane. We're meeting up around here, and then we're gonna tank. And then when we're done tanking, we break. The B-2 and the tanker go on their way. We're then gonna go on and do a simulated bomb run. It's about 25 minutes this way, then 25 minutes back to Whiteman. We come back and recover.
Airman Holt here was actually the one that adjusted my gear. So I'm flying for 3 hours. How important is it to have appropriate and comfortable fitting gear for these pilots?
Very, because when they're out there, their mind is just on the mission. So when we're fitting in here, it needs to be absolutely perfect fit. No exceptions.
There we go. All right.
All right, I'll go ahead and hop up there.
So the point here is if you're in a shoot, to simulate hanging, right? Is there anything I can hang, hold on my hands?
Oh no, just slowly sit down. Yep, there you go.
Oh, that's delightful. We're about getting ready to step, getting our gear, gonna check in with weather, ops, and then we're out to the flight.
Taking a look at satellite. As you can see, there's a whole lot of nothing going on today. Green across the board for the weather. Beautiful day.
All set? Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks.
Stepping onto the B-2 flight line is like walking into a giant skiff or sensitive compartmented information facility. The flight line is treated like a secure location. That means no cell phones are allowed, even for the crews working on the flight line. No Apple Watches, nothing that can transmit a signal. Our cameras were allowed only with special permission and security procedures. At the end of our shoot, our cameras and memory cards were reviewed by the Air Force for national security purposes and returned later with 30% less footage.
What is the message that a B-2 flying sends to an adversary?
It sends a very clear message to them. When they see us flying and we know that they're watching us, it sends a very clear message.
At Whiteman Air Force Base, securing the B-2 flight line is a demanding part of the mission. Protecting the B-2 requires a constant state of vigilance by the base's security forces to guard this nuclear-capable bomber.
Yeah, 2-1 check. 2! Oxygen doors are closed, looking good.
It's almost that time.
Tower Death 2-1, flight attitude number 1 ready. Death 218, flight runway 19er, wind 190.11, clear for takeoff, change departure. Death 2-1, clear for takeoff, 19, push 5. We're just waiting a couple more seconds here for the pitot heat to warm up. Should be good to blast. Alright, here comes power. Brake release cued. Under knots. Okay, and rotate. Good climb. Here comes the gear.
Fuck yeah.
Let's do it.
Smooth as butter.
Not too bad.
Boy, this thing really wants to climb.
Oh yeah, lightweight like this thing wants to go.
I also can't get over how well it turns.
Oh, it's smooth. It's super smooth in the turns. Alright, passing 10,000. Our cabin pressure looks good at 8,000. We can go ahead and safe the seat.
So you've got the autopilot on, right? But you're doing the throttles?
Yep, autopilot's on. Controlling the throttles. Center, Death 2-1 request.
Death 2-1, go ahead.
Death 2-1 looking to extend past the Pioneer 082041.
So there, basically what you're seeing is the aircraft all are treated the same, whether it's military, civilian, if it's a stealth bomber, or if it's just someone's little Cessna out there, it gets treated the same. Anyone in that back room, people tend to be a little bit younger, but you can have anyone from 18 years old all the way up to about in your 30s. So same level of responsibility regardless of your age.
All right, we're in pre-contact. So Bandit's just doing his pre-contact checklist. We're going to be able to see the tanker pretty soon.
They should be taking off right about now, so we got about a little less than 20 minutes till air refueling time.
Can you explain why tanking is so important for the B-2?
Most of our targets are not anywhere near 6,000 miles away. It's that simple. And that's the range, right? Of which I had full tanks of gas to when I had no gas in the tank. We've got to be able to make sure we can get all the way to the target with the time that we need to, release the weapons, be effective, and then get back home. So you've got to be able to do that. If you can't tank in this aircraft, you can't be a B-2 pilot. It's as simple as that.
932, Roger, clear to cockpit, refueling along air 110 east with Death 21, Death 22, and fast 24. Maintain refueling altitude, flight level 2402, flight level 270.
Every piece of the B-2 operations puzzle must come together perfectly.
Contact.
Everyone is at the top of their game. The jobs are demanding, and daily training keeps them at peak performance. The pilots get the glory, but everyone's a hero.
We're gonna disconnect it. Booster 1, we'll go.
Honestly, I've refueled pretty much every type of receiver there is out there. B-2 is completely different than pretty much all of them. The receptacle is very far towards the aft part of the aircraft. They can move like a fighter jet, but they're the same size as one of the bigger aircrafts, honestly.
Booster 1, clear contact.
You are super smooth, man. I appreciate it.
.1087, the tail number that you flew into combat over Kosovo, has carried and very well may still carry a next generation of pilot into combat in the future.
Oh, I think so. Obviously, in the beginning, it was just a design. It was an idea. It was a concept. And until Kosovo, it had really been untested in combat. It has now flown through 5 total conflicts, achieving the same results each time.
Probably have a little bit of time if you want to get up, if you want to stretch a little bit, or if you feel like you're doing good.
Yes, I would very much like to get up and walk around.
With some B-2 missions lasting 30 to 40 hours in the air, pilots must manage fatigue as they fly to the far side of the globe and back.
Death 21, request vectors to initial runway 19 at Whiteman full stop.
Death 21 Heavy flight 260, vector for initial.
Death 21 right 260.
Death 21 Heavy report the field in sight when able.
Death 21's got the field in sight.
Death 21 Heavy, roger, contact tower.
Death 21 switching to tower. Landing gear's coming down.
Like butter.
Very nice, you have fun?
Dude, I can't even form the words. That was amazing.
I mean, so many things go into making this fly. It's an amazing piece of equipment. It's like it takes 2 people to fly it, but thousands of people behind the scenes to make it work.
I was on Cloud 9. It was an amazing experience, but there was this point where we set up for a bomb run, and Bandit, my pilot, told me to push one of the buttons for the armament switch. Now, it said conventional, and he explained to me that for conventional, only one pilot has to arm the weapons. But then he went on to say that for nuclear, both pilots have to consent. There's 2 buttons, and they have to push it at the same time. And it's just a reminder of the seriousness of what this aircraft is meant to be. It's not just here for my amusement or for joyrides. There's a very, very serious mission that this plane has carried out for the last 30 years. And these crews train day in and day out to carry out that mission. And that is a very sobering thought.